What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about the Gabby, Petito, and Brian Laundrie case. Now, this case has just sent shockwaves all over social media. As a content creator and a mother, my heart was just so invested in this case, and I am heartbroken for Gabby and her family. I can't imagine what you're going through. So I'm kind of breaking my regular content to talk about this because I am just devastated, and I've been following this case so closely, as I'm sure so many of you have, so that's what today's video is going to be. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has served time in prison, and my entire crazy life story is in the description box down below. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my podcast that we are recording new episodes for every single week, and my vlog channel. I have so much to say about this case, so let's just jump right into it today. What I'm going to do here first is provide a little backstory of who Gabby Petito is, just in case there is someone out there that is unfamiliar with the case. Then we're going to get into a timeline, and then we're going to talk about current updates and my theories. So Gabby Petito is a 22-year-old, beautiful soul. She was traveling cross country with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, in her 2012 white van. Throughout her time traveling cross country, her Instagram was flooded with just incredible pictures and vlogs. She also has a YouTube channel, and she was posting her journey, and it really seemed from the outside looking in at this point that she was loving life and loving her adventure, and you could see that on her Instagram. I do want to note here that on her Instagram and all of her pictures that were so beautiful of the landscape and of her, she would post these very long post under pictures, and I'm gonna get into why I'm mentioning that, but her pictures were gorgeous with long explanations of her journey, and she was very heavily documenting her time traveling cross country. Her boyfriend or fiance was with her on this trip, and they posted pictures together, they posted pictures separately, and their Instagram just looked like a Pinterest board, essentially, just beautiful, perfect pictures. So August 24th, 2021, Gabby FaceTimed her mom. Now this is the last physical proof that Gabby is alive because her mother FaceTimed her and saw her physically. Between August 25th and August 30th, Gabby was texting her mom. Now these texts seemed different, and it seemed like something was off. August 30th, the last text that Gabby, we don't know, sent to her mother was that there was no service where she was at. To back up here a little bit, on August 12th, law enforcement received a 911 call, and I want to listen to that now so that you guys can get an idea of where I'm going with my theories surrounding the now homicide of Gabby Petito.
Grant County Sheriff's Office.
Were you able to get a description of the intoxication?
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with a white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman,
Where's it at?
5'6" beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what do you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I can give you the license plate if you give me 1 sec. I took a picture of it.
What kind of white van? Like a big one?
It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side.
Black ladder, passenger side.
White Ford Transit.
White Ford Transit. Okay, what's your name? And where did they, so they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market?
Correct, they made the right turn.
Oh, so they went north.
North, yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here.
Okay, you're right there by the post office?
Right across the street, yep.
Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left?
Right.
Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks.
Now, again, that was on August 12th. And I want to note here that the body language of Brian Laundrie during this traffic stop gives me hella Chris Watts vibes, right? He's calm. He's got a couple scratches on him, and we're going to get into it. And Gabby is very emotional. And to law enforcement from the outside looking in, apparently they said that this was more of a mental health crisis than a domestic dispute. But the 911 call paints a very different picture of Brian hitting Gabby. So, in my personal, not professional opinion, just chick on the internet who has formed a complete psychological profile on Brian in my mind, as I think many of us have at this point, right? I think Brian is narcissist, and I think this is reactive abuse. Now, reactive abuse is so dangerous, and it looks like the abuser, in this case, possibly Brian, I don't know for sure. I've never met this person. I'm not a professional. This is just my opinion. It seems as though the abuser, which in this scenario is Brian, was gaslighting Gabby, provoking Gabby, and got her to the point of this now mental health crisis that law enforcement is seeing on their body cam footage. Gabby is clearly upset, crying, and just so emotional the entire time. Now, the 911 call says that Brian was hitting Gabby. And that to me just looks like a clear-cut case of narcissistic abuse and reactive abuse. And reactive abuse is so dangerous. It's so awful. And it literally is the abuser pushing you to a breaking point, to a mental health crisis. And then when law enforcement or anyone arrives on scene, anyone is watching, then the narcissist is very calm and says, oh, she's crazy. Oh, yeah, Gabby's very emotional and very crazy, and I'm clearly the victim here as I have scratches on my face, and I tried to push her away from me because she couldn't calm down, and I am clearly an innocent here. You, okay? I've been through this. I have filmed videos on a past relationship that I was in with a man that we call Steve on the internet. This is awful. You really genuinely believe that you're crazy when you're going through it. It seems like it's never gonna end, and the reason why reactive abuse and narcissism is so dangerous is because it can lead to situations like this, right? I'm sure law enforcement feels absolutely terrible for the events that took place, and we're gonna get into it. They probably did everything that they could, you know, they interviewed the couple separately, they made them separate for the night, and Brian went to a hotel and Gabby took the van. They probably did everything that they could, but I do think law enforcement needs to be trained on how to deal with reactive abuse, gaslighting, and narcissism, because that is what I think is going on here. And just another little detail that I caught on the body cam footage is Gabby says, and I don't think people notice this, but as someone that's been through this kind of abuse, I noticed it in a second, and I'm sure other people noticed. I just haven't heard anyone talking about it. Gabby says, how far is it down the road? I don't usually drive the van. This to me was just a huge red flag, and I wish law enforcement caught on to this, and I wish they could do something. But neither party wanted to file charges, and I'm sure the officers had their hands tied. Gabby saying that she does not drive the van is literally saying that Brian has control over her at every turn. This is her van. This is Gabby's van, and she does not have the freedom to drive her own vehicle. And to me, that screams, I am being controlled, I am being manipulated, and I don't even drive my own car. So now on September 1st, Brian Laundrie returns to Florida without Gabby. At this point, everyone was like, where is Gabby? Brian immediately decided, I'm going to lawyer up, I'm not gonna cooperate, I'm not gonna tell you anything, and he completely shut down. No comment coming from him, and Gabby's parents were absolutely disgusted with Brian because he was the only person that could even tell them what happened to Gabby, where Gabby is, or if she is okay, or if they're looking in the right spot for her, which is so gut-wrenching. And Brian just immediately refused to help them, which is disgusting. Now, Brian's parents have also come under fire because they have not helped at all either. It seems as though from the outside looking in that Brian's parents are helping Brian in some way. So up until this point, they're not helping at all. They lawyer up, they released a statement, but this is one of those instances where it's a statement, not statement, right? This is saying, we hope she's found. Our hearts go out to you. That's a non-statement. That's, we're not talking. We have advice from counsel to invoke our Fifth Amendment right at all costs. And now this is a scenario that I saw on TikTok, everyone saying like, can't they force you to talk? No. Under the Constitution and your Fifth Amendment right, no, they cannot. And at this point, Brian is just a person of interest. He is not being charged formally with murder. Even today, September 22nd, 2021, Brian has not been formally charged with murder. So on September 21st, it is when Gabby is confirmed to have been found. Her remains, or her body, was found. Now, as if this case can't get any more ridiculous, Brian is now missing. He is believed to be hiking in Florida. Oh my gosh. I think it's important to note here that Brian, again, not being charged, but he's a person of interest. I'm not exactly clear on my dates here. It was either before or after Gabby was found. The FBI raided the laundry home and they took just tons of stuff. Boxes and envelopes and cases and computer and even Brian's Mustang. I think they took that before Gabby was found. But they took all of this stuff out of the laundry home and executed a search warrant. Now that they have confirmed that this is Gabby's body, Brian is the only person of interest. And they have just started this massive manhunt. It is believed that Brian is hiking in this crappy swamp-ridden terrain in Florida, and that creates such a danger to law enforcement, and that means that they can only search for Brian, during the day or whatever they deem as safe. They have drones, they have helicopters, they have ATVs, they have all of these things hunting for Brian. And Brian's family released another statement, non-statement, saying, "May you rest in peace, Gabby," or something along the lines of that. I do want to put in here, which I find so cringe and so not okay, and like my heart, I'm just sick about this. The neighbors of the Laundries, they said the parents of Brian Laundrie have been acting completely normal. They mowed the lawn, they went on a bike ride, they acted like everything was normal when Brian came home. And I know it's very easy from the outside looking in to say, this is how I would respond if my child did this, or this is how I would handle this situation. We don't really ever know how we would handle trauma or a horrifying situation like this. We never know how we're gonna handle it until we're in it. But oh my God, how can you act like everything is normal? To back up a little bit here and talk about the past history between Brian and Gabby. Gabby and Brian went to high school together. I believe they were like on again, off again, if I got that right. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section down below. They eventually started dating and had been dating since 2019. Gabby lived with Brian's parents for the duration of about a year. Now, during this time, I believe that this hurt Gabby's mental health. Why? Why would I say that? Maybe they had a perfect relationship. Maybe her parents loved her and what have you. But just seeing the extent that the parents have gone thus far to protect Brian, I am willing to bet that Brian is narcissistic and that narcissists do not abuse everyone they come in contact with. And I believe that if I am correct in my assumption, that is not based on professional opinion at all, and I've never met Brian, if my assumption here is correct, and Gabby was the victim of narcissistic abuse, which I believe is the case, narcissists don't abuse everyone they come in contact with, and I believe that Gabby probably genuinely blamed herself for Brian reacting certain ways. Now, again, this is all assumptions, but Brian's parents, because of the length that they have gone today to protect Brian and to keep, their mouth shut with everything and lawyer up and what have you, I'm willing to bet that Brian's parents also manipulated Gabby into thinking that, oh, what'd you do to upset him? Why is he worked up? You need to calm down. All of these things kind of just help a narcissist, right? So if Brian's parents never saw Brian be abusive towards Gabby and they saw that calm person that we saw in the body cam footage, it would just make Gabby's mental health worse. And as someone that has struggled with a relationship that was narcissistic and abusive, you walk on eggshells, you don't want to upset them, and you do genuinely feel like you're freaking crazy. And that's their whole plan here. So here's my theory. Brian killed Gabby, hid her body, took off to Florida, and I think the parents knew. Now, of course, we can't prove that. They have plausible deniability. They could say they had no idea. Brian told them some story, or Gabby had left with some travelers. He could have said anything, right? We have no idea. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in that home, right? So again, we have no idea. They're invoking their Fifth Amendment right. They have counsel. I don't think that Brian is in this swamp-infested Florida area, even though he was seen by someone else on a deer cam. It's believed to be Brian, but we're not really sure because this deer cam footage is like sketch because it's like for deers and not people, and it's like low quality. So maybe that's Brian in Florida, maybe it's not. Maybe he parked his Mustang by this area where he was gonna hike, maybe he didn't. I think someone's helping Brian. I really do. I think someone is helping Brian and someone is hiding Brian. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're gonna find him in this swamp park thing in Florida. It just seems a little too convenient for me that Brian just happened to disappear and now he's in this swamp that is very difficult for law enforcement to freaking search. I don't know. I just think someone is helping him, because if it's that difficult for law enforcement to search this area, how hard must it be to hike through this area, right? So that's my theory with that. I will absolutely update you guys if you guys want me to cover this again. Gabby's death is ruled a homicide at this point, even though the forensic pathologist or what have you, whatever they're called, is not saying the cause of death at this point, but we know that she did not die from natural causes, and that's all they're willing to say as of September 22nd, 2021 at 9 a.m. That's all I've been able to find, is that it is a homicide, but we don't know the cause of death just yet. As this is an ongoing investigation. So it is my hope that Brian is going to be apprehended, and we're going to watch this trial, and we're going to be able to get a psychological profile on him, and we're going to be able to figure out just all of the details that went on. Even though we have a very clear, accurate timeline of what happened up until her disappearance, I'm just hoping that we're going to be able to follow this case and Gabby's family gets the justice that they deserve. I hope that Gabby also gets the justice that she deserves, and everyone responsible gets held accountable. Brian, as well as anyone that helped Brian after the fact. They are an accessory to a crime if they helped Brian after the fact and if they knew about it, but that's hard to prove as well. So I just hope everyone is held responsible. Before I end this video, I do want to say that this case is under fire because so many people are saying, why isn't every missing person case this viral? How come we aren't coming together to solve all of these other missing cases? There's over 90,000 missing people, I believe, since 2020. Imagine how many people that we could bring home. Imagine how much closure we could give to family members if we poured all of this same energy into these other cases. And if we ended the war on drugs, we would have so many more resources to bring these people home. I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you. Let me know your theories in the comment section down below, and I will see you in my next one.